You know what I mean?
Focus. Live. Keep growing.
Hey, what's going on, car guys and car gals? We are so excited. So excited to be here today. For those of you that are listening on the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. For those of you that are watching live right now, this is the lineup that we are excited to have inside of the cafe today. So make sure that you do your part and you tag a car guy,
Tag a car gal,
and share. Woo! This is going to be an incredible show. We got a great lineup of those that are really putting in that elbow grease to recruiting and getting the best people at the best places to work. I am Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And I'm Frelin Arts, the subprime hero.
And you are tuning into a solution session on the Car Guy
Coffee Podcast. That's right.
Welcome.
Wow, we have some amazing guests today. Matter of fact, we brought in some people from all over the place. We brought some friends of ours, but we brought some solutionaries. We brought people that know what they're doing. They have their pulse on what's going on with recruiting, with hiring, what's happening at dealerships, retention. So I'm excited to talk about this. I know you dealers, you GMs, everyone out there, you're having this issue right now. How do I hold on to employees and how do I hire somebody that's ready and motivated right now? And we have those solutions for you today. So get ready, get tuned in, and let's get ready to rock and roll and have some fun.
Yes. So again, we've been sharing this around, trying to make sure that the best people in the business are hearing and seeing and smelling and tasting what's brewing on the Car Guy Coffee podcast. But you can also get some more of this good stuff by going to carguycoffee.com and just listening to some of the great brews that have happened before today. But every brew has been leading up to this one. Let me tell you something, folks. Every brew seems to get better, and no pressure on those that are backstage watching and excited to bring some of that heat today. But we know that we got some incredible solutionaries in the cafe. So if you are ready,
I'm totally ready, man. You know the deal. I'm excited to announce our friends, our guests, our panelists of amazing people, a panelist of solutionaries ready to go. Man, Lou, who's the first one we're going to bring up today?
Let me see. Well, because she comes with a solutionary on her arm, I am going to open up the door for the one, the only Miss Shelly Buck, who's up in here, and she is bringing some young man as well, Mr. Andy
Buck.
How's things going, guys?
Hey.
We got the Bucks in the house. The Bucks stop here, everybody.
That's
so
right.
you know. But welcome to the show, everybody. How are you today?
We're doing great.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Well, we're going to go ahead and open up another door for another lovely lady as we are connecting the North and the South. Somehow or another, these individuals all found their way to connection points inside of Florida. So without further ado, we're going to bring in the always bright, shining, and smiling Miss Marilyn Wilkin.
Welcome. So excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
Awesome. You're right. It's shiny out here in Florida. Good to see you guys.
That's right. Isn't it, son?
I love it. Even when it's not, it still is, right? And that's what
Rub it in.
And we got one more person that came all the way from the north.
Canada.
I'm talking about in Canada way, and came all the way down to Florida, and he's starting this business down here that is a model off what he's been doing up in Canada. I'm excited. USA Motor Jobs. What's going on with Scott Traynor?
What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys.
How you doing? Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's a great day.
It's kicking off early with that. So, man, we're excited. As you can see right below us, it says recruiting, and that's what we're talking about here today. We're talking about recruiting and hiring and what the troubles are in today's market. So, man, each one of y'all, I think you guys know a little bit about training and recruiting and hiring. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Awesome. Well, do you have your coffee cup emojis? Car guys, drop them in the comments. If you have a real coffee cup, go ahead and put that on the screen real quick. Just let everybody see that for when we get that later on. Anybody got a coffee cup? Who's drinking coffee? I told you I have some coffee because you're jumping on the show. Oh my goodness. There we go.
There it is.
There it is. Heck yeah. Get some of that.
It's all right. We're brewing up some solutions today. This is a solution session. The solution session is a group of panelists of experts in their field, people who have passion in their field, and we're going to share ideas so we can help our community out, help our network out, help our audience out, and figure out ways to help them be able to retain new employees, but also find those employees, the ones that they're looking for, the ones that are motivated and ready to work. So let's talk about that today. Let's talk about what's going on in this world. So real quick, let's just do introductions real fast before we get any further. We'll start with ladies first. Shelly, why don't you introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are and what you do?
I am Shelly Buck, and I work for Automax Recruiting and Training. I am an executive recruiter, and I recruit for fixed ops. So we actually recruit for, across the board, anything dealership related. I specialize in technicians.
That's awesome because, this industry isn't just sales pros, my friends. I just want you guys to understand that. There's so many different facets in this business, whether it be people that are technicians, whether it be service writers, whether it be directors in the back, that's just backside. That's not even including parts people, man. And those are all so important when you utilize them right. So it's good to have Shelly out there finding people that fit those spots extremely well. Thank you for being here. That's a huge thing to talk about.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now we got Mary Lynn. Let's do ladies first, okay? Mary Lynn, how are you? Introduce yourself to everybody who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, first, thank you guys for having me. My brother's there and glad to make new friends here today. So I work with United Recruiter Networking. We're a network of recruiters strategically placed across the country. I am one of those. We've been all in on all things auto for 12 years plus. So I'm excited to talk with you guys today.
Well, we're excited to have you here. And again, she's not just inside of the Sunshine State. She is a bright of sunshine. A bright of sunshine.
She's a bright of sunshine. She is the reason why Tampa is so warm and sunny.
Is the reason people show
it's
up
Mary Lynn Wilkin. That's right.
She has an incredible brightness to her that you can get on Clubhouse just by hearing her voice. Right. You can hear just by the posts that she makes. You can feel and you can get that sunshine type of experience because of the glow that she generally always makes sure she brings everywhere that she goes. But she's also found a way to make sure that she's blessed this business with another bright young star that's coming up and doing big things in the business too. Her son's got a smile just like his mama and it glows. So we are excited to have you in here, but there's so much that's to that, right? There's so much that goes into connecting the people that we have all across the country. And although we have the incredible people that are making things happen throughout the industry, we have these particular people here because they're not just building communities or not just hitting numbers or not just recruiting people. They are building people that are finding family in the places that they go. So with that, speaking of family, Shelly brought her hubby up in here, and we got Andy, and we're excited to hear about Andy. Andy, tell us more about what you do.
Well, my name is Andy Buck, and I'm better known as Shelly's husband, quite frankly, because she does all the heavy lifting. A technician recruiting is probably the most important thing right now in the car business.
Amen.
So I focus on salesperson recruiting and training, and trying to build up people from the ground up to help them change their lives for the better, as it's done with all of us that have been in the car business. It's a life-changing business if you give it the opportunity and you put in the hard work. So that's what I do. I've been doing that for 3 years. I represent Automax recruiting and training also. So.
Heck yeah. Automax is doing some big things. We know a few people who've worked for that company. Amazing things out there. I believe that anybody out there trying to find solutions for dealers and truly doing it out of passion and love, you can't go wrong. And that's what's so amazing. But, there's a lot of great companies. United Recruit. Come on, Mary Lynn, I know that you're working for some great people down there too, so I don't want to discount that also. So definitely awesome. But we have somebody else we're going to bring up, Mr. Scott Traynor. Like I said, he is new. He's about a year into the United States. He's doing his thing. He's all the way down there in sunny Florida also. What's up, Scott Traynor? Introduce yourself to everybody, what you do and where you're from.
Well, I'm happy that Mary Lynn's keeping Tampa Bay sunny for us. Definitely happy to be down here. Like you said, I did move down here about a year ago from Canada. We had our Canadian platform, and we decided to bring it down to the States and launch USA Motor Jobs. A bit different than everybody else on the panel. We are not a recruiter agency. We've simply designed a portal where they can connect, kind of like a dating site, and making it more modern, helping people connect really from A to Z from the dealer, whether it's a lot attendant, a porter, a jockey, service advisor, all the way up to GSM. We created the portal where everybody's at.
It's absolutely amazing, folks. If you haven't heard of it yet, you need to sit down and get a demo of it, because I'm going to tell you, it's mind-blowing. It's like he said, it's imagine using, and I don't know, I've been married tomorrow 17 years with the same woman, so I don't even know what it's like to, thank you. I don't know what it's like to really date socially on social media or to use apps or to use these dating sites, right, as they call them. So I've never done it. So all I know is that a lot of people do in today's world, and I get that. But imagine that technology, being able to use that, having the ease of being able to find somebody with a lot of things in common, just like an employee, finding that employee who has the traits that you're looking for, or the employee finding the company with the traits that they're looking for. It works both ways, and it's like I don't know if it's all I can say is imagine
the swipe feature is coming out. We do have our app with the swipe feature coming out.
I had a feeling that was coming, man. And imagine being able to do that and then just putting yourself out there, it instantly throws your resume at them, and vice versa. And next thing you know, you're connected with a bunch of people, and it's very as simple as swiping. And that's how easy this will become, but it is that easy right now, and he's trying to bring that, and I'm excited about it, dude. So let's get this stuff talking about. I love it.
So before we get any real session underway, we need to make sure that we activate the 3 Fs. We drop some F-bombs coast to coast from around the globe. We try to make sure that we get to forgiving, focusing, and flying together. So everybody knowing what the motions are, I know you guys ain't new to this. You're true to this. So let's do this. On 3, we're going to forgive, focus, and fly together. 1, 2, 3. Forgive.
Focus.
Fly.
Keep growing. Keep growing.
All right,
We are here.
The show is underway. We are ready to rock and roll.
Let's go. I'm excited about this. I can't wait. Man, let's talk about this right now. We see that around the country, everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're at a dealership, and you can be at McDonald's, owning any business right now. Employee retention, new hires are very difficult right now. It doesn't matter where you're at. A lot of people tend to not want to work right now, or want to work in a different type of atmosphere. So in the way that they want to get hired differently. So that's kind of stuff that we're talking about here. That's the kind of items that we're going to bring up to start with. So what type of things have you been seeing with people out there, new recruits, people who are looking for jobs? What are they wanting out of their new workplaces? What are they wanting in today's market? That's a great question, I think. I'm going to start with Andy, man. I'm going to give it to you first, brother. What are you seeing with potential candidates out there that want to come into this automotive industry?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of people out there that really do want to work. I mean, it isn't about the don't want to work situation. It's more right now what I'm seeing from the candidates that I interview. A lot of people are trying to find the right place. Going through the pandemic, they had time off. They had time to reassess their life. They had time to redo things. And in their mind, they're thinking, well, I don't want to just go to a job. I want to go to something where I'm growing and I'm getting something. I can move up and I can have a career and not just a job. I always joke and say a job is just over broke, and they're looking for a career. And I think some of the things that are happening right now that I'm seeing anyway is that, we used to always talk when I was in the business, when I was running a dealership, we were talking about the millennials and they don't want to work and blah, blah, blah. And, the millennials is one of the largest generations. I mean, they're much larger than the baby boomers. And their age range is 28 to 41 now. So they're not exactly young anymore. Okay. They're not. So
they're spending money.
Yeah, they're spending money and they want a career. They've kind of gotten to that spot, but they also have to be coached. They have to have something bigger than themselves to join you. It isn't about give me a job so I can make money. They want work-life balance. They want something that's meaningful. They want something more than just, oh, you can make six figures in a year or whatever. I mean, we've all heard that, and that appeals to, Gen Xers. I mean, we're all like, yeah, but it doesn't appeal so much to millennials and Gen Zs.
I completely agree with that. There's a different value system that's inside of the generation that's coming forward, and it's never not been that way.
Yep.
Okay, we often find ourselves being the old school, seeing a new school, and usually having something to say about the new school. But anybody that's come up has come up in a way that they've had a guidance from somebody that's been through the old school, showed them the way to grow, show them the things to overcome, show them the things that they don't need to be stressed out about, right? Because although the young may seem carefree, they care about a lot of things that don't need caring about, right? And when that happens, we tend to try to make sure that they value what we value without making a connection on understanding what is it that you do value, what is it that you're actually seeking, and then we can place you accordingly. But it also changes the way the transition happens when they go into that job. And inside of that, speaking of going into that job, so Scott, you connect people that are looking for jobs and then those that are looking for people that are looking for jobs. What have you seen as being the thing that most people are trying to seek out when they are looking in the automotive industry? Because there's many branches of it. It's not just selling, right? As we spoke about earlier. But what is it in that you're seeing them seek out?
In terms of position, or you're talking about what they're looking at for employers?
As far as what they're actually wanting inside of the job. So not just the job itself, but what are the accoutrements or the extra things that they're wanting to experience inside of that job?
Yeah, because here's the deal: jobs are jobs, but much like earlier Andy had mentioned, there people are looking for careers now. They're looking for futures, like they want to have retirement, 401k, or whatever it is. That's what I think lose meaning is like, what are they looking for that's extra besides, hey, here's a good job that pays well? What do they want?
Yeah, well, definitely being a platform that has several groups and stores on board, we do see a trend. It's not about the salary anymore, and that's what we're pushing these dealers and groups. They want to know the culture. They want to know the hours, the work-life benefits. Nobody wants to work to live anymore. They all want to, they want to be able to have the balance, to feel appreciated, to know that they can grow. And some of the top performing groups that are on our platform are the ones that are showing that they care, that it's not just, hey, here's a piece of lunch as a bonus. It's here's the room for improvement. Here's how we appreciate you. This is what we can do to bring you to the next level. They're not giving them a job. They're really giving them a career. And really the company culture is what it's all about now. People want to feel appreciated. People would rather take a job making $100,000 but feel appreciated every day than going one for 150 that they just feel like they have to work.
Heck yeah, that's peace of mind. That's knowing that, hey, I'm worth something. I'm worth being here. I enjoy being here. I'm looking forward to growing. I think that's exactly on the money. I think you guys are both saying amazing things about what people are looking for. I do agree with that. I think that's, we talk about generations, but I think at the core of it all, I think we all want that. It's not something that skips a generation. I think that we all want security. We all want somewhere that we feel like we are wanted. We also want to work somewhere that we can have potential to grow. I think the word mentorship through leadership is kind of a big deal. I think having that at a dealership is huge, or in any type of work environment. Mary Lynn, I see you nodding your head up and down. Why don't you jump in here and chime in about that?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I was going to say is, things as you solutionaries and people we all work closely with, I think we're trying to change the outlook of and the perception of dealerships. And so people are looking for careers and they're looking for mentorship. My son being one of them, he literally prayed for a mentor and he ended up in Tampa with Brad Wise, who sent him to Tony Robbins. I mean, people are looking for it's more of a career now. And so they're not wanting just bell to bell. They're like, there's moms out there who want a good, lucrative career, but want to be able to be at their kids' soccer game. So I think it's a shift in culture, flexibility in scheduling, mentorship, and growth in their career.
Love that. Great answer, Mary Lynn. And that's so on the point. Like she said, she has a son that's currently in automotive. She is too. She's been in automotive for a long time, but going to the group firm and having mentorship through somebody like Brad Wise, who just loves to pour into his team, loves to see his team succeed, but doesn't just tell them to succeed, shows them how to succeed, brings in tons of trainers, brings in all kinds of opportunities, not to mention the people that he surrounds himself with at those stores are high, they're high level salespeople and they do their jobs. I mean, I've seen what, Brad doesn't hide the fact that a ton of them driving Corvettes and all these types of things. He looks at the employee parking lot and goes, holy guacamole, look at that. It's crazy. Blessing, it's one of those things when you can afford it, you should get it, right? And especially when you're young and you're coming up in this business. But as we get older, I know for me, there's times where I start to look at the way I want things is slightly different. I don't need the high flashy car anymore, though they are nice to drive, So let's talk about that. There's people that are coming up in the automotive right now that are young, right? But let's talk about the people who are maybe just retired from the military. Maybe they had a career that they just felt dead end after 20 years. And they were like, I'm just not growing here. I am kind of standstill. Maybe every 5 years I have a chance for a dollar raise or whatever it is. How about raise based off of my efforts, right? And that's what this industry does bring you. It's based off your efforts, how far you can go. You always get back what you put in. So let's talk about people out there that are in that right when you talk about that generation, let's talk about 40 and higher, older. Are you seeing people out there right now looking to get into automotive right now in that age group? And if they are, what are they wanting out of it?
We'll pass that over to Shelly.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think, that age group is a little different. Like when I talk about, when I talk to the younger, I'm noticing they want time off. They want a 4-day work week. They want to know like what charities are what charities are the company contributing to, that kind of thing. Yeah. But that 40 plus, they are kind of looking for the money, and they're the people who will put in the work. I mean, they'll work 12 hours a day if they have to, and work extra hard at whatever you put in front of them. So it is a difference in mentality, and I guess the way they were raised it was just a different generation, but that's what I noticed.
100%. I think that, it's kind of like what we've seen our parents do. They say, well, hard times make, what's that word? Hard times make, I can't even think of the saying. Like hard times make people strong, right? They make you stronger because you go harder, but easy times make you softer. So that's kind of what the saying. I'm not saying the words exactly.
Hard times make hard men, soft times make soft men. Yeah.
Right. And I do see that, and I do believe that, but at the same time, I think inside of all that, there is differences. I think that even in the easy times, it helps there's some people in there that are figuring out new things for the future with this easiness, right? We do have the technology of social media. We do have the technology of the internet. We do have the technology of having a cell phone in your hand that is literally the best computer. If we had this kind of technology in our hands like 20 years ago, we would have been, it's crazy. We couldn't even have desktops that were that powerful. Right. We couldn't search the web as fast. We were still doing dial-up back then, It's so funny. They talk about like you show a child that's like 18 or younger now and you give them the sound of the dial-up. They don't even know what that is. Like, they're like, what is that? right? So we all were very aware of, right? So, but it is Generation C, different things. It's different hardships. There's different reasons for that. But I do believe that what you said is 100%, Shelly. I think that generation, they're willing to put the hours in because they know that the hours mean more money, right? And
well,
that,
and also like coming to the job, I think what the dealerships need to remember is that sometimes it doesn't take much of a bump to get them there. So you have somebody who you've offered a job from, and then they don't answer back, which is like, I see that a lot with that age group. They just go, well, they don't want me enough. And you have to keep calling and keep texting and reaching out to them, because sometimes it's really just continuing to reach out to get to the heart of why they're not answering back. Because a lot of times it's like 50 cents or $1 that's keeping them from coming to your dealership. And in the long run, they're like, no, we just can't pay them that. But in the long run, they need to look at how much that individual, especially mechanics, are going to make for their dealership. And sometimes the amount that they're going to make is well worth that extra $1.
There's no doubt.
That's part of the communication process, right? That's part of the actual following up. No different than you sales pros, right? That are trying to make sure that you follow up with your prospect, right? These are prospects for the actual job, right? For the role that needs to be filled. We're prospecting them. And a lot of times, because we don't follow up, we don't know where it is that we're missing them. Dealing with other clients, right? They don't know why, man, we felt like we had an incredibly great interview. It went magical, right? We were so close. We had so much in common. I never heard from them again. Right?
It's so true. It's so true. You know, but that's part of everything. I think we all need to be better at recruiting, at hiring. I think there's definitely ways that we can improve on that. You know, that's why there is companies out there like AutoMax, and there's companies out there like United Recruiter Network, right? So it's important that we have that. Having USA Motor Jobs is a way to connect everybody. And there's some amazing things that you can do. But here, somebody says, ask what would Andy think about that? So Andy, what do you think about the 40 and older crew? What do you think about that, especially because you've seen on the sales side?
Well, so, you know, once again, I go to the generational thing because I really pay attention to that. This is the first time in history we've got 5 generations in the workforce. We actually have first time in history that we've ever had 5 generations. So trying to manage that group and figure out what that group wants is very difficult. But what Shelly said is absolutely true. You know, the folks that are over the 40, they don't mind putting in the 12-hour days. They don't mind doing. In fact, they don't understand why the others don't want to do it. They don't understand why do you want a 4-day work week when I can make more money if I work 5 or 6 or 7? I got 3 more days in this week. So, you know, when it comes to the recruiting side of it, the thing that I'm seeing, probably the biggest issue that I'm seeing at dealerships and frankly at small businesses, to be honest with you, is the decision-making process isn't fast enough. You know, when you've got, it doesn't matter what generation you're looking for, if you've got a good candidate sitting in front of you and you say, hey, I'll let you know, well, the other place is letting them know. I mean, you got to make a decision right now. You're making decisions on big shop expenses. You're making expenses or big decisions on selling cars, hundreds of thousands of dollars a day. Make a decision, man. Let them go or say, I'll take you. Just make a decision, whether it's wrong, right, or indifferent. Make something. Don't say, hey, I'll let you know.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So Scott, I know Scott's biting at the tooth right now. I know.
Good, Scott.
It's really to compliment what Andy's saying. Gone are the times where people are sitting at home waiting for jobs as well. People are now all employed, so it's up to the employers to actually go out and sell themselves why they should be there. So just like Andy's saying, sometimes the employers still have the old school mentality. You know, they've got 1 or 2 applications. They'll wait. They say, "Oh, wait till I get 5, 6, then sort them out." No, jump on those 1 or 2 right away. If they applied, they might be applying other places as well. If they're interested, do it now. It's not a giant pool anymore like it used to be. Nobody's sitting at home waiting for a job. You have to go out and get them and tell why your store is the best. So if they're applying, call them right away.
I love it. I love that.
And don't spend time looking for the superstar. Take the diamond in the rough. Take the person that really wants to work, that says, hey, I don't know diddly squat, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to put in the effort and I'm willing. And if you'll train me, I love the training. I'll do the training. I'll do what you tell me to do. I have a dealer that I work with on a pretty consistent basis, and they have incredible training. and I bring in young people and they train them and they mentor them and they coach them and they work through with them. And the ones that stay really do well in life, even if they only stay for like 2 years and then leave. They do really well in life because they were trained really well at this store. So
I think that's such a huge point that you're making there, because a lot of times, and that's connecting the two pieces, right? The letting go of the thought that we have to find the superstar, right? Because we can train them up. And a key piece is making sure that you have the infrastructure to be able to take anybody from any walk of life, give them these tools, put them on the right track, turn them into what you want out of that employee, and keep replicating that to where if they do, they grow, they go, right? If they move on someplace else, so be it. But the idea is that you have a functional tool that keeps them trained up, taught up, and ready to go into action. And while I believe that dealers would go somewhat almost anemic on having the great superstars, is because they didn't have a system to build the superstars. So they kept having to find a superstar to hopefully bring them that sale, bring them that traffic, bring them that uptick, rather than having something where they can say, boom, jump in here. I don't care what industry you came from. Here's the tools. Let's practice it. Let's show you the way, and then let's go the way together. Inside of that, let me ask you, Paul, because you did mention something so key: activate, move on them. So let's ask the panel real quick. We got two guys, two gals. Got to find out, what do we think about multi interviews, more than 3 interviews before we activate? Yay or nay? Let's go ahead and go to my Canada. Hey, over here. Yay or nay?
Nay, definitely nay.
Nay. Andy, what you say?
Well, we have a process at Automax that Craig Locker developed that works really, really well. And it does require a second face to face, but it's more of a situation where you're testing the commitment of the candidate. Where you're taking the candidate, you do want to have some kind of a scripted interview in the beginning and get them past that first stage to see if there's somebody that you're interested in. But you need to have a second one, because anybody can mess you up on one interview. So I do think when it comes to salespeople, yes. When it comes to technicians, not so much. I think if I were recruiting, if I were sitting in front of a technician and he or she had all the credentials I needed, I don't think I would have a second interview.
Especially
I like that answer. I do agree. I think we're 1 or 2 interviews, 2 interviews especially, is a good way to see if they're going to do the follow up, if they're going to actually show back up. We need that type of characteristic out of sales pros. We do. And if they're not the type that's going to follow up or show up on the second, they're not going to do that with their clients. So, and
it works really, really well. The way that we do it at Automax, it works very, very well, and you get the best of the best from that group.
Facts. What about you, Mary Lynn? What do you think about that?
Yay, nay?
3, nay. I agree with Andy on the tech. At Nissan, when I was at Nissan, they used to have to interview with 3 people, but we would get 3 people to interview them in the same day. We'd have 3 managers talk to them while we were there, because you don't want to lose momentum. So second interview I can go with, but make it quick. Don't lose momentum with candidates.
I love that. I love how you said that. Don't lose momentum with candidates. Folks, listen, we talk about that, and we preach that to our sales pros to do that with their customers. It's the same thing in the service reps, all that stuff. We got to make sure that there's urgency, and we also let them know that we want their business. We also want them to come work for us, whatever you want to call it. And when you do that, it makes them feel wanted, and they'll make them work a little harder when they come too, because they're going to be like, this is a place that wants me to be there. And
time is death to your deal.
Especially when you find the right recruit. When you hit all the right checks on that box, you check all the good boxes, right? And when you do that and you're able to do that, then it's like, hey, let's get them. And I totally agree. I 100% agree with each one of y'all. No, 3 or more is too many. Now, I do believe we need to hire slow and fire fast. I do believe in that preaching, because you don't want to let people sit around and cause any type of negativity in the store, especially when you're letting somebody get away with something multiple times and no one else can, in a sense, right? So you got to make sure you do those things. But I do believe finding the right people, you need to make sure you get on them and latch onto them and let them know how much you want them.
So what say you, Miss Shelley?
I definitely, I personally deal with technicians, advisors, all the fixed ops side. And on that side, I'm saying hire fast. Like, most of these guys, especially technicians, if they're interviewing with you today, they're probably interviewing with 3 other people the same day.
Mhm.
They have a day off. Their time is precious. They've packed interviews the whole day. And I guarantee you that one of those people is going to make them an offer and grab them up, and they're going to be working for them next week. And if you don't do it, you're going to lose them.
Well, look at that, teeing it off for Scott, because he gave us a nay on it, but we didn't let him explain the why behind that, right? Brother, why would you say nay to that?
Yeah, well, it was more in the question was the 3 or more interviews. 3 or more interviews is definitely too much. And I agree with everybody else on the panel where techs are not they're in demand. There's not a lot. If you have a good tech who's ready to work right now, grab them. I've seen too many stores desperate for them and then wondering why the tech didn't come back for the second interview. Well, they got hired with somebody else on their first interview.
Yep.
Salesperson, yeah, Andy, I agree. You could do a follow-up, but a non-formal, unofficial follow-up on the second one, if necessary. But no, techs and service advisors, go right to it.
Awesome. So,
I mean, there's a reason these dealers are throwing out $10,000 signing bonuses.
yes, they are. Go ahead, Shelly.
I have had a lot of dealerships who will do this. Like if they want the second interview, they grab them. They say, we're prepared to make you an offer. Would you like to come back in and meet everybody in the shop and shadow for like half a day?
There you go.
And that's kind of a way of getting that second interview without, actually making them think they're having to go through another interview. But even when they do that, I'm like, next day, like get them in there quick.
I agree with that. I believe that's a good way to get the new candidate an opportunity to feel like they're qualifying the dealership too, making sure that, hey, this is a place I want to work. They can go in here.
They like the people.
See how it feels, see what the vibe's like. Because if you don't like the vibe and you can tell that it's just going to be offish, I don't want to be somewhere I don't feel wanted either. Or it just doesn't, it's not going to be in the process of how I like to work, right? So you got to make sure you know that before you make a commitment, because commitments are huge. I'm a big deal about when I commit to something, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it at least that 90 days, but usually when I work somewhere, I work there for like a long time. I'm very committed to the people I'm around, especially when they're committed to helping me grow. So, and it's a big step.
So let's figure this out, because car guys and car gals want to know. We have these incredible recruiters in the room that know how to focus on finding the best of the best. So get your pens out, car guys and car gals listening, watching, hearing this on the podcast. We're going to go ahead and pull this over to Marilyn, but this is a question for everybody. Where are you finding them? Where are you finding some of your best candidates? How and where are you finding them? Marilyn?
We are just actively always looking for people who are working and not posting to job boards, because we want people who are working, career minded, not just wanting a job. So actively looking for people who are working.
Love that answer.
If they're working, right? If they're working, I want them. Heck yeah. Shelly?
I agree with her. Like most of the candidates that I'm placing, I'm not finding sometimes, the job boards, that's okay. Like they apply and we do get some from time to time, but I would say most of the candidates I'm placing are coming from me being proactive out there, searching for them, finding them. They may not even know that they need a change, but I'm finding them and convincing them that they do. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And sometimes you have to call and text and call and email. And it's not just 1 or 2 times. It's call until they answer.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we try to preach and teach, even on the sales floor, no matter what we're doing. Always dial and dial, right? You never know, because some people sometimes are just busy. Next thing you know, that's that one time that you get a hold of them is the time that it works. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk right now. I just had a bad day at work. My boss doesn't appreciate me. So many things, and I want to put off.
When you get that, go on.
Please tell me more.
You know what I mean?
And then hire them quick, because tomorrow might be a better day.
Oh, yeah. The boss brings in donuts, and coffee, and they're like, well, you know what? It was a good day today.
Yeah, exactly. The boss bought lunch today. Now, all of a sudden, their whole idea to change their life went out the window. Right? I mean, I've seen that happen before too. Well, wait a minute, man. I just bought a new desk for you. We got new phones. We got a whole new computer set up. You're ready to go. Like, yeah, well, remember how bad I said it was? I mean, it's still that bad, but I got tickets to a game or something silly, right? It'll always be some tiny little thing that I love you again. Right? So Scott, inside of that, outside of USA Motor Jobs, I mean, where are we finding them? Where are we finding people?
So, like I mentioned, we're a bit different because we're not actively going out to try to find somebody in the workforce. Yes, people do come from us who are already in the workforce through our portal, but we're doing a bit of we're trying to change it up a bit because we're not a recruiter. We just want to bring people to our portal to connect with their jobs. We're out there at car shows, car events, car meets. We're at high schools trying to get the next generation into the automotive. So, I mean, when I was the kid, when I was the 13-year-old, guess what? I went to car shows. I ended up in the car industry, you know? Always pay to the 13-year-old at the car shows. If he wants to sit in your nice car, let him sit in your nice car because he will end up in our industry if you give him the taste for it. So we're out there. We're working with trade schools as well, obviously. We're working with some veterans associations. Thank you, Lou, for your service as well. And we do have, sorry.
We both, but I'm not, but it's all good. No, definitely. He did the Army. I did the Air Force, so he did a little bit harder time than I did.
Okay. And thank you, Fred, as well. And at the same time, we do have a pilot program with even one penitentiary over in Texas for nonviolent offenders who are returning into the workforce, and we're trying to bring them into the automotive industry because that penitentiary does actually have an automotive program in it to bring them back in and to help them out in life when they get back. So we're trying all different avenues. We're working with even some TikTokers, some influencers, some YouTubers, because that's really where we're going to get the next generation. It's great having the generation that's already in, jumping from dealer to dealer. I mean, it pays our bills, obviously. It pays even the recruiters' bills. But we are obviously focused on who's coming in next. Because they're going to be the ones that are in our system for the next 20 to 40 years in the industry. So that's really where we're going after as well, trying to change it up a bit.
I love that. The reason why I love that, and I love both preachers. So, I don't think there's a right or wrong where we find our talent pool, right? I think that you guys are correct in finding people who are currently working. I think that's a great way to go. It's a great place to help somebody find a better transition in their career for a better opportunity for them. That's fulfilling to me. That's exactly what we do. We're solutionaries. We're trying to find a solution. What you're doing down there, Scott, I think is more proactive. I think it's very cool. Like you're trying to find a way. And that's much like what Lou and I started this whole podcast for. It was to share automotive, to show everybody that automotive, there's great people in it. We're not liars, cheats, and scumbags who try to take advantage of old women and all that crazy stuff, right, that you hear about car people. No, we're not. We're really good people that have a great life, and it brings a great career, so there's great opportunity. So the whole point of Car Guy Coffee was to bring that light, and that's why we highlight some amazing people like you all, your businesses, what you do, and the solution session is to do the same things to keep that going. And I want the future generation. I love you talked about schools. I love you talk about trade thing, because I want those high schoolers that were thinking about, I want to go to college, but it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. Instead, I can go get a little bit of education, right? Go out there with enthusiasm, get taught a skill at a workplace that doesn't even need a high school diploma. You talked about people that were coming out of nonviolent criminals, right? That's fantastic. That's giving them, hey, look, we accept nonviolent criminals into our industry, and it's okay as long as you change. You can't be somebody who's going to come in here and be the same, but we're going to show you a new skill so that you don't have to go back to that old way. Matter of fact, the skill will pay you so well that you're like a professional who went to college for 4, 5, 10, 15 years, right? So it's very true. And I know that because I've done it. And I know that I didn't think it was possible. I was going to college for an $80,000 job. Like if I killed it, right, I'm going to make $80,000 a year. And then I started selling cars, and I was like, oh no, why did I go to college? I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to go to college. It's great. I met a lot of great people, and if I didn't go, I probably wouldn't be in the industry, right?
Well, the fun part, Fred, is that some of these people don't even know that they'll be good in car shows. They're great on social media. They're great on TikTok. They're great on all these social media accounts. And they're like, hey, there's jobs in the car business. You can sell cars. Some of the top car representatives I've seen now are ones that were just good with social media, because that's how the new generation is buying cars. So you have TikTokers who have turned it into a career. They just know how to work social media properly, and they never thought of being in the industry. So all it takes is somebody to tell them, hey, you're good. You're a personable person. You care about people. You want to help people. You're very likable. Why not try to sell cars? It's a genuine thing, and the stigma is slowly changing. It's not the old sleazy car salesperson anymore. Now it's connecting. Now it's having fun. It's branding yourself, which is
Yeah.
what the new generation likes.
People
And
buy from people they like, people that they
Exactly.
find in entertainment. They want to have a good time in a smooth
Yeah.
transition period, like something so transparent. I love that. We keep it seriously silly, Lou and I, and that's what we believe. And I think that's where we've been able to hit some heartstrings in automotive because of what we do and our passion behind it. And I think it's the same thing with social media, like you're talking about. We know a good salesperson, Corey Darkus. He works for CMA.
Yes.
Kills TikTok. He's got like millions of viewers. And he's a great salesman. He's mid-20s, bought a house, drives a Corvette, has just had his first child. I mean, but that's because he's had great mentorship throughout it. But this industry causes that gives you that. But you're right. That is a great skill. What do you think, Andy? What do you think about all this?
Well, when it comes to the variable ops side of it, where you're trying to get salespeople, it's kind of a numbers game. Because if you're a dealership that doesn't believe in any training and you're going to bring in somebody who's got a lot of experience, then you run into a situation where you might bring somebody in with bad habits that causes more disruption than ever. So you're better off to start from scratch if you can train them up. So what we actually do is we advertise. We have a whole team at Automax. I mean, I'm the guy that's there at the dealership, but I mean, we got a whole team working together to put this thing together. And you wouldn't believe the amount of movement that goes on to get a campaign going at Automax. And just to give you an idea, at a campaign that I was at a couple of weeks ago, there were over 200 applicants for the position.
Wow.
We contact all 200 of them. We get them all. We reach out to every single one of them. Of the 200, I ended up interviewing 66 in a 3-day period. And the dealer ended up hiring 6 of them. Okay. So what for me, after being, I've been a general sales manager, I've been a general manager, I've been in the hiring situation at a dealership, and I've been looking for salespeople. Now I've been doing this for a while, and I go, there is no way in the world that anybody could allocate that amount of time to filter through that many applicants. It's just impossible. You're going to miss people. You're going to second guess yourself. You're going to make the wrong choices. And if there isn't some kind of a way to do that, or you have some kind of a process to do that that's very regimented, you'll make bad decisions. So, from my standpoint, I look at it and say, when it comes to salespeople, it's kind of a numbers game. It's like we used to sell cars in the 90s, where, hey, throw all the ads out there, get as many people into the dealership as you can, and then let's see who can buy, and then you're going to make a certain percentage of them really, really happy. So,
but even after you hire, it's that too, and I think you're 100% on that. I love what you're talking about there. I think you guys have a great process. It's obviously needed in a lot of places, and it's true. It is a very difficult spot. Lou used to hire a lot at his store, right? And I know that it takes time away from the floor, being able to train.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting them in and making sure they are the right type of recruit, right? Like, is this
There's nothing that makes you feel worse, I would say, as a person that's recruiting and leading, than you found somebody that you really believed in, right? You believed in them because they put on that show.
Yep.
Man, they got you inspired. You just got the right. This one is going to take us to the moon. And then you see them again, and then slowly 2 weeks goes on, right? They don't cut their hair that often. They don't really always iron their clothes, or different little things start to come out about them, or this isn't the right person for this. They're not getting it, right? They're not getting it. There's a deflating thing that happens when we start to invest in them as leadership inside of the store, right? When we start to put it in, give them what it is that they need to succeed, and then it just goes flat, right?
Well,
and go anywhere. And
you can't.
Go ahead.
You can't. I was going to say you can't. That's why hiring as a group is so much better, because the way that I look at it, because once again, when I was at the store, I'd hire a salesperson and I'd spend all this time training him or her, and then she'd leave. And it was like, oh, what happened? And, I spent all this time, and, I wasn't a chief employee. I wasn't, you know what I mean? My time was very valuable there at the store. I could spend more time selling cars or getting cars sold. How about that? And make a lot more money for the dealership. So, hiring in a group, when it comes to salespeople, hiring in a group, you can take that 6-figure sales manager and say, hey, this is your group, and you're going to train them for the next week. And you're not desking deals. You're not doing any of that. You can take these 5 and do that, because you'll end up with, hopefully you'll end up with all 5. But reality is you'll end up with 3 or 4. And you've got 3 or 4 well-trained individuals that know that somebody spent the time and didn't just say, hey, the keys are over there, the cars are outside, Hope you do a good job.
And they create that connection.
Go ahead, Mary Lynn. What were you going to say? I want to hear this.
Hire in a group like that, you know, they create a connection and a bond, so they have somebody to turn to when they're feeling a certain way and not having to go to the manager. So there's benefit to in that area too.
It is huge. You know, I could tell you being a prior military, you know, obviously that's how we did it. We came in as a group, and this was like your flight. I was there. This was a flight that would come in. It'd be, you know, a whole bunch of us. Like you're talking like 100 people in this one crew. And you come in and there's a lot of washout in the military. There's a lot of people who don't make it to the next week, you know, and sometimes it's not because they weren't doing something wrong. They may have twisted their ankle and they have a medical hold, right? So they have to stay a little longer. Whatever it is, there's always that thing. But as we came in together, we formed and united. And the ones who made it through, I'm still friends with those guys. And that was, God bless, 1997, right? And I'm still friends with the people I went to basic training with, especially the core of the leadership core that I was there with. And
that begins to build that culture too.
It does. And it built a culture of like, we were an honor flight. So we had this honor. We went to the next level and we felt that way everywhere we went. And to this day, getting into automotive, I took that with me. I went into automotive and I wanted to be that honor flight, right? I wanted to be the best. I wanted to show them, hey, I may be a young person, but I can hustle and I can work. And that's what I came here to do. And that's what comes in with that type of environment. When you have a group environment, it raises the caliber of expectations, also effort. So when you have higher expectations with a group, you can put that out there. And then now the effort steps up because everybody's pushing each other to do better. That's why I believe competition is great for the soul. It's great for business. You know, it's not something you should look at and go, I hate them. No, you should be like, man, that's great. What are they doing? That's so different than me. And how can I make it better for my company or my business or for my sales or whatever it is that you're at, right? So,
but that's why the grouping is so important. It's also that battle buddy aspect, right? We can have an entire team, but there became an accountability level to where you don't go anywhere by yourself. Right? You're going to go, you two together, go here, have each other's back, learn, role play, do all the things, right? Study the lessons that you're supposed to know. But that's key, especially when you hire groups. And so some people, not everybody's going to hire 20 people at a time. Not everybody's going to interview 20 people at a time. Some dealerships that are watching right now or listening to this on the podcast are looking for one or two guys, right? One or two gals, one or two candidates, right? And that seems to take up so much time. But highly suggest that anybody listening or watching this, you do hire two together, help them to train, help them to rehearse, help them to lean on each other, and then figure out where their strengths are, because you have two totally different people that have to learn the same process, but you have to communicate it in a way that each of them gets it. But if they have each other, I know that this entire panel would agree, have a person to back them up, have at least two people together inside of the group. I know we were hired inside of a group, but when we have those people to go over back and forth to figure out the things that we're struggling with or help us to understand it.
It also gauges your growth. You know where you're growing. When you see around you the same peers, you know if you're leveling up or if you're staying stagnant. It's very easy to tell. It's hard to tell when you're amongst professionals already, right? But when you're new in this business, you don't know if you're growing or not, but you see that people around you.
And let me add on to that too. When I stay and actually do like a week's worth of training, the dealer has me stay and do a whole week's worth of training, road to a sale type training. The retention of those employees goes up to about 80% past 90 days. I mean, it skyrockets. It goes way up, which is much higher than the industry average. Just because the dealer spent the extra money for that training to be able to do that. And, you know, dealers often don't think about retention as being a big deal, but you know, it's $10,000 to $12,000 every time you fire somebody. I mean, from the time you hired them in and brought them out. So, you know, you say, well, it doesn't cost anything. They're just salespeople. No, it does. It costs you $10,000 to $12,000. That's just what the average is to let somebody go. So, you know, you want to make sure that if you get them and they're pumped up and they want to be part of your team, doggone it, train them. Whether you pay somebody to train them or you train them yourself, invest in the training.
Oh, and it's easiest to train somebody when they're new. It's the pros that don't want to train. I don't need it. I've been selling cars for years, even though they need it for not most people, because there's always new adaptable ways to sell vehicles today, move units today, and help people today. But definitely, you're so right on the money on that, man. I love that you threw that in there. You know, we're getting close to the end of the hour. Man, this has been a lot of fun. I'm excited. I do want to get some final thoughts. You know, I love that we're talking about recruiting. We talked about the best places, the best generations or whatever, not the best generations, but how to recruit from generations. It's my generation. Oh, but hey, listen. But the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of great people out there, and there's a lot of ways to be able to find them. But the thing is you have to put it out there, let people know what your business is. And earlier, Shelly, I believe it was you who talked about, they want to know if they even have what kind of companies you're not investing in, where you're donating your time and your money to. Are they doing anything for the Red Cross? Are they doing anything for whatever, foster children?
What kind of impact do they have?
There you go. Exactly. And I think that's important that we talk about those things. So as a dealership, as an owner, as a business, make sure you let your community know what you're doing for the community. This way that people would want to come jump in and help. And that's a lot of times that is a motivating force. Hey, listen, they're doing this. I want to go in there and help with that too. That'll get people to move one more piece of metal, make that extra phone call sometimes to help with a charity out there. And that's huge. So no, I think it's great. I had a great time. So let's get some final words in here. Shelly, I'm gonna let you go first. What do you think about everything? What would you say to people if they're thinking about recruiting into business?
Well, I think they definitely need to reach out to someone like us, because they don't have the time to do the things that we do. I mean, these dealerships, they're busy, especially the service department. Service managers they don't stop the entire time that they're there. So really, the best thing they can do is hire someone like us who can do that hard work. We work tirelessly all day doing what they can't do, so that they can do what they do best, which is run the service department.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. That is great news. And that is truth. And listen to that. Reach out to these panel, any one of them. And I promise you, they'll help you find a solution. A conversation is free. So just do that really quick and reach out to them. So appreciate you, Shelly. Thank you for being here today. You're amazing. I'm looking forward to hearing more about what you're doing and watching you grow, my friend. And I love what you do with your children. I know how much you love them. And I'm glad that you guys made it safe from that little night of flat tiring. So,
I know.
I heard about that.
Get home at 3 a.m.
Hey, that's what we do for our family when we love them, right? And that's
too old for that stuff.
No doubt about it. Let's go to Mary Lynn. Mary Lynn, final words?
I just think, if you're thinking about bringing recruiting on, is, a lot of dealerships are under the impression that recruiting is an HR function, and it's not. It is really an operational function. And we team up with the executives. We're the contact for the executives. Let us do the hard work. Let us be your go-to, and, let HR do HR. Let the operation side do the operation side. And I think that's where we come in.
Excellent. That is so amazing. So I'm going to go to Scott. Scott, man, tell everybody how to get a hold of you and what benefits are with USA Motor Jobs.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't going to be using one of the other panelists, and you don't necessarily want to go to a recruiter, and you want to try something a bit different, not saying it's better than recruiting, it's different. It's a totally different approach. Connect with usamotorjobs.com. You guys are going to see how the candidates rank up. It does rank them up, shows you where the highlights are, shows you what you might need to work with them on, and it'll re-rank them for you. We're trying in whole new ways to bring people into the industry. And we'd love to have you on USA Motor Jobs.
I love that. You got to have your fishing poles in so many different ponds, man. I promise you, that's how you catch the fish. So I appreciate you for sharing that. It's true. Not everybody wants to do it through recruiting. Some people want to do it through something like as easy as swiping left or right. Mm-hmm. All right, Andy. Now it's your turn, brother. You're the last, but not least.
Well, thank you so much. And as far as the flat tire is concerned, I'm way too old for that. In fact, during that whole thing, I think I fell asleep at 8 o'clock and then woke up about 10:30 and was like, yeah, let's go bail him out. So I had to take a nap in between. But anyway, when it comes to recruiting your candidates and getting good people, like Shelly said, call somebody. I mean, or reach out. Try something new. I mean, you have to take the time to get your people, because being understaffed is costing you money. Bad hires are costing you money. Not training them and not retaining them is costing you money. And you all know that. Everybody knows that. We all know that. But, I think there was a client that I had last year that was it was pretty eye-opening to me, quite frankly. They were having trouble getting anybody to hire anybody at their store. They had tried for like 6 months, couldn't get anybody to hire. And they were one of the top used car dealerships in the region. And I came in, we did our campaign. they ended up hiring 8 out of the class. I got them back 12, and they hired 8 out of the 12 that were there in the class. Okay. And when I got done, I went down and I said, I always like to ask the general manager, are you happy? Are you happy with the outcome? I was there for a whole week. Are you happy with the outcome? He said, man, I'm really happy. He said, what I can't figure out though is how could we not get anybody for 6 months and you could get 8 people in a week? And he said, 8 good people. He said, good people that I'm like, really, I'm trying to find negatives to these people and I just can't. And he said, and I was going to answer, but I'd never had anybody ask me that. I was going to say something, and he stopped and he looked at me and he said, I know. He said, we're good at selling used cars, and you're good at getting people.
Hey, freaking man. That is exactly right. And that's what I love about this business.
And so that was his phrase, not mine. So that was
perfect. That's a mic drop phrase for him. Bam!
It works for me.
I love it. It's truth, man. Each one of you all, the reason why we had you come on the show is because each one of you all are experts in your own field, and I love what you're doing, and I love that you guys bring the enthusiasm, and I know that you have passion for what you do. Once again, you are truly solutionaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all I got to say is, I really appreciate you all for giving us your time, because time is valuable. We talked about that earlier. I appreciate you for sharing what you guys have out there to our community and to our network. Folks, reach out to them if you need any help. If you're a dealer out there, if you're a general manager and you just cannot find the right people, and like Andy said, and you're just going to end up wasting thousands and thousands of dollars, but most importantly, your time. Time's more valuable than any dollar that you have out there. And when you're somebody running a very popular store or somewhere that's getting traffic, you have to be there to help with that. So find people, find software out there, find a website out there that can help you be able to find those people. And I promise you, let that come off your shoulders so you don't have to hold on to it no more, so you can keep focusing on what you want and fly to where you want to go. Man, that was awesome.
This has been such an incredible show. But we have to make sure that all of the solutionaries that are out there know that Shelly, Mary, Scott, and Andy are 100%
CGC approved.
We are so excited that each one of you have been joining us in this session where we have not just talked about the problem in recruiting, but we have really brewed a solution. We have some incredible days in front of us, and we cannot wait to see who you all recruit to join our ranks in the automotive industry, because this is an industry we're proud to see getting better and better every day. And just like the auto industry, Car Guy Coffee is getting better with every single brew, and we're doing that with you all. Thank you so much, Shelly, Mary, Scott, and Andy. This has been incredible.
Thank you, guys.
Love you guys.
Get focused and head out of here and go crush the day. On 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Forgive.
Focus.
And
keep growing.
It's been an incredible show. We're so thankful that you all had the chance
Oh, yes.
great time with us, and we want to make sure that if there's any more information that you need, you can reach out to all of them, but blow them up. Let them know how much you've enjoyed getting into a solution session with them, because they are incredible, they're great, and we love you all. Thank you so much.
This is awesome.